Okay guys, we are looking at how to do the PowerPoint presentation, kind of implementing the advice from your textbooks, and we're looking at chapters 33 and 35 right now. So if you haven't already kind of looked through those chapters, please pause this video and do that right now because I really want you guys to put what I'm saying back into the context of the good and bad PowerPoint slides that I'm going to be showing you. And just a quick reminder, do you guys see this PPTX? That means that when you upload your PowerPoint slides to Canvas, to the assignments portal that's right here, that you'll be able to, that Canvas will be able to accept it. So it should say PPT or PPTX in order for Canvas to accept it. You can also upload it as kind of a PDF file, and that's fine. So let's go into here and look at the good and bad slide PowerPoint. All right, so while this is loading, I just want to go over some of the design principles that we're trying to implement here. So I'm looking at page 745, and I'm looking at specifically the list of considering your rhetorical situation. We talked about this a little bit in my explanation of this assignment video, but remember, your audience is an audience of peers. Just like you about 7 weeks ago when you started researching this, they probably don't have a lot of background information or maybe even knowledge about your subject. So you can't take anything for granted, okay? Your purpose is, remember, to enlist support for your position, for enacting your solution, and to deliver a clear call to action that's appropriate for your peers, okay? So you have to really think about who your peers are, who your what they can do, and where you can take them to help them understand how to implement your ideas. Remember, your genre here is PowerPoint slides. PowerPoint slides have to be useful on their own. They have to be clear and the content has to be clear and readable and visually pleasing on their own. And then your stance, you are persuasive, you're also knowledgeable. So remember, like the elevator speech idea, that you are knowledgeable and passionate about your idea. And remember, it's knowledgeable passion, scholarly passion, not ranty passion. Okay, so you got to really be careful about that. So let's see, the media you're using, PowerPoint obviously, and then the design is what makes sense for PowerPoint. So your book goes into very specific things about fonts, headings, and color. Headings I don't want you to have to think about too much, but each slide should make its purpose very clear in the heading. So if you look here at the second slide, clear readable text, font size, color, and style matter. Okay, the amount of text on a slide matters, and the correctness of the text matters. So so you can kind of just see here, you should have high contrast between whatever your background is and whatever your font color is. Red and yellow generally don't work. Yellow especially doesn't work. Red can work if you're using it kind of sparingly, but be very careful. And then you have to make sure your font size is readable. Remember, generally, you should have an 18 point at least font, because if you were doing a PowerPoint, you would really want, you would have to think about, okay, this would be projected on a big screen and everybody would be watching this. So nothing smaller than 18 points. And it should look professional. The font that's here is fine. It's easy to read. You can use serifed or non-serifed fonts, but don't use fonts like Comic Sans or highly serifed fonts or any kind of cursive fonts that may look fancy but are extremely hard to read. All right. Amount of text matters. Is there too much? Is there not enough? You want to keep your sentences short. You want to keep your sentences should still be sentences. They should make sense. I should be able to read them. So you have to strike a balance between too much and not enough. So if I only had on this slide amount of text matters, too much or not enough, that would be kind of not very useful information, right? So I've had to add some specific ideas here, right? So with kind of very clear guidelines. Otherwise, there wouldn't be enough for these kind of brief little ideas to make sense. I hope that's translating well to you guys. So information on slides has to make sense after the presentation is complete. So if you remember, the slide has to work as a presentation. The only thing on this one, and I'm not sure why it did this, but when it translated to when this translated to Canvas, this word got pushed down to this this word text got pushed down to the second line. Really, that's not good. Your title should be all on its own on one line. It should be able to go to one line. So I don't know if that means, changing the font style or whatever, or changing the font size, or changing maybe the margins on this. So that definitely should all be on one side. And then notice that all of this is correct. It needs to be academically and professionally correct. Okay. Again, good presentations. Again, that title got pushed down. It wasn't on the original. I'm not sure why that happened. So let's try to keep all of our titles on one line. So relevant, engaging, visuals. So you don't have to have a visual on every slide, but images can really help an audience connect through pathos. So we're really in the logos. We're really in the logical kind of appeal in this kind of slide deck here, which is for a reason, because this is an explanatory slide. So really, you want to make sure that the visuals that you include really help illustrate a problem. For example, if you were doing plastics pollution, you might have a picture of really terrible plastics pollution, along with some information about that for your background slide. So people could see the problem and not just hear about the problem. Okay. Make sure, again, sizing matters, and labeling information, labeling ideas. So this is the worst PowerPoint slide ever. It has animated features. You can't see it because it's frozen here, but if you actually look at this, all of these bullets are like sliding in. That's terrible. It doesn't have to, change fonts like this. It's really distracting. The background image has nothing to do with the content. Putting too many layers on there. In other words, it should take me 30 seconds to read and understand everything that's on your slide, and I just can't do that. So this is a bad slide. It's the worst PowerPoint slide ever. Okay, so go ahead, read that through. It's actually quite funny, but it's all the don't do's, right? So don't do that. Okay. So let's evaluate. That's okay. So I want you to go kind of through here and just looking at these. Is this a good slide or a bad slide? Okay, so we have a nice, clear title in a good, readable font. But then, I can't even see this point down here because it's got cut off because the person didn't do this correctly. The contrast between the background slide and the print is really not good, so it makes the print unreadable. The font's fine. The font's a good size, but look how packed with information this is. Basically, this one looks like a cut and paste job. from the paper and then they just pasted it in here. Don't do that. That's bad. So this, how rivers are formed, is a bad slide. It's not working. Okay. What about this one? This is a slide I got actually from a student. Again, it was all on one line. It's just the way it's kind of dealing with this kind of environment. And don't worry, I'll make allowances for yours as well. So this is a slide that a student used to direct kind of question the kind of impact on kind of brick and mortar stores with the kind of app environment. And one of the ways he thought that we could fix it is by connecting the app more specifically. So he thought these were good apps that would keep the brick and mortar kind of businesses kind of together. So see that you have correct citations, okay, here. See that you have app pictures that go with descriptions, and see that this has a really readable kind of design. It's a little busy. It is a little busy, but given the requirement that I imposed that these slides do a lot of things, you know, this is a good slide. So it has kind of correct text, really good kind of differences between all these things. So this is a good slide given what I'm asking it to do. Okay. All right, so here's a slide that has, it's from another student example, and this is a slide that could be better. It starts out with some good ideas. It has good contrast. It's not too busy, but again, this got pulled exactly from these, from the argument paper, and then instead of just using an in-text citation, it used a complete reference page citation, which is incorrect. I mean, that's not necessary. It takes up valuable real estate here. The picture I like, but it's not clear. It just says supporters of protests. It's not clear what the purpose of the slide is. So it has some good elements, but no, this is not overall a good slide because its purpose isn't clear. The font here is obviously too small, and this citation is unnecessary. It should just be an in-text parenthetical citation. Okay, this one is also from another student example. So this one you can see, I have no idea what the purpose of this is. There are no in-text citations on it. This slide does not stand alone by itself. So this is another bad slide. This is not a good job of a slide, unfortunately. Again, another bad slide. Look, clearly there's information here that the student got about this. I don't know who Jason Doss is, except maybe these have something to do with this. I don't have any idea what this goes to, and I don't understand the purpose of the slide given the requirements. So this is not a good one. Also, it's missing an in-text citation. This student got nailed for that. Also, what is this? Like, what is that for? Why? The image doesn't make any sense. Okay, this one is a good slide. It's got a lot of information on it, but it's very clear to read, and it's the visual really goes nicely with the information here. So this is a good slide. This is a bad slide. This is a terrible slide. It's got way too much information on it, even though it's all cited, but the citations themselves are incorrect. So that's a bad slide. Anyway, I'm hoping that this kind of quick run through of this is really helpful for you guys to know how to design your own slides. So that's my timer going off. I hope this is useful.